So a lot of people ask me, how old are you? All right, because I'm not ashamed of my age. I tell them that I'm turning 70 this year. Really? You don't look 70. I said, yeah, you didn't realize that the 70 is the new 50s. And talking about old, and there was an old pastor. And he has a practice of going to his parish school and visit them once a week. So one day he walked into this fourth graders class, and they were studying about the states of United States of America, the different states. So he went in and challenged them. So can you name all the 50 states? So of course the fourth graders, they came up with probably about 40 states. And then he told them jokingly, you know what, in our days, our students would name all the 50 states. So one kid put his hand up, yeah, that's true, but in your days, there were only 13 states. All right, this old joke continues on. You know, there was a pastor from a country church, a Baptist church, was retiring. So he gave his last message. After he finished his message, the head deacon came up to him and said, Pastor, this is the best message that you ever preached in all these 25 years in this church. Then he said, but I didn't understand why you did this before and after the message. This. And some of you didn't get it. Let me help you. That means he preached someone else's message. You got it now, right?
Okay.
But the text that I'm going to share with you, you might say, well, I've heard this message before. Is it someone else's message? No, it is not. Because about several years ago, probably about 10, 12 years ago, I had the opportunity to preach a message from this text. But at that time, sadly, it was not in a good context. But today, it's a happy occasion. So I'm going to tweak that a little bit and share from this message. And the message is taken from the text that we all read together, called The Power of Community. Better together. And that is the message that I want to give out to you all about the sense of unity that we must have as a church. The sense of oneness that we must have as a church. So there was a 3-year-old girl listened intently to the children's message. The pastor explained that God wants everyone to get along and love each other. He said, God wants everyone to be one. To which the little girl replied, with tears in her eyes, I don't want to be one, I want to be 4. See, many a times that we do not understand, as followers of Christ, what is oneness means. What is the sense of unity that we must have, no matter what. But you see, transition in life is difficult. Yes, it is painful. It is challenging. You know, the transition in life is so common that we have given them very special names. We call it midlife crisis, or empty nest syndrome, or in this occasion we call it retirement, transition in leadership. But you look at the Old Testament, there was some tremendous, powerful, and healthy transition that we've seen the example. Elijah and Elisha, Saul and David, then David to Solomon, and then the best of all was Moses to Joshua. Yes, it is true. Transition in life could be a time of despair and hopelessness, but with God's help, it can be changed into joy, peace, laughter, and dancing. Amen to that.
Amen.
See, you may have many questions in your mind this morning as we begin this journey together during this time of transition. But we all know for a fact that church life is just like Christian life. It's a journey with many obstacles that we all face in our lives. Setbacks, challenges, and so on and so forth. But I want to leave with you God's promise, which is this. In Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 13 says, I will turn your mourning into joy. I will comfort them and give them gladness for sorrow. Eugene Peterson, in his translation message, he puts it this way. I will convert your weeping into laughter, lavishing comfort, invading your grief with joy, and my people will have more than enough. You see, daily Christian life and daily Christian walk is a walk of warfare. And we face battles on every hand. But only as believers. Not only as believers, but also as a church in transition. We face a lot of challenges. The last 32 years ministry here in Silicon Valley. The last 20 years here at Crossroads Bible Church. And the last 10 years as the lead pastor. Yes, we all together have faced some battles, some challenges, such as uncertainties of what the future holds, doubt, disappointments, truly broken dreams, bitterness, blame, and barriers. But this morning, I want to take this opportunity to share with you the importance of faith and prayerful support on the battlefield of life. So how it is important for us to have prayer and also faith as we journey together during this beautiful time of transition. So now let us together take a look at this passage that was read earlier from Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 through 13. And we are going to look at the context of the story. The context of the story is this. Moses and his people of Israel have just escaped from slavery in Egypt. In fact, they were facing first of many major challenges. You need to remember that it is estimated that there were probably over 22 million people in this traveling party heading into the desert in search for a better life. Now, when you think about it, what is going to be their first challenge in a hot, dry, parched desert area? Any ideas? Of course, we all know water, isn't it? So God provided them with water. And we see it in chapter 15. Bitter water turned into sweet water at Marah. Now, the question comes, during this journey, what else would you need in a barren, desolate, arid, and treeless desert? Food, of course. So we see in chapter 16, God provided food, manna, and quails. So as they journeyed together, here what they had. They had quail hamburgers. Hot and spicy quail manna pizza. and barbecue quails, etc. Well, seems as though this road trip is going to be easy. Water on the tap every time they complain loud enough. And food every day. What else do they need? Well, for one thing, they needed protection during this journey. In chapter 17, that comes to our passage, we read that the next big challenge after food and water was the raiding armies from other nations. It says in chapter 17, verse 9, I like that phrase, then Amalek came. I want you to circle that phrase. Then Amalek came. See, the Amalekites were a nation who lived in the desert. Interesting thing about them, they were cousins of Israelites. They were descendant of Esau, who gave away his birthright to his brother Jacob for a bowl of lentil soup. In fact, Amalek was a grandson of Esau. Now, I want you to remember this. Here is an invading army, an army that has come to attack. I want you to keep this in mind. Attacking God's chosen ones always draws God's wrath. It is so true. It is so true. So Moses ordered for the army to gather and went out to attack the Amalekites. And you know the story, which we read. While they fought in the valley, Moses stood up on the hill overlooking the valley. Moses, while he kept the staff of God raised in the air, the Israelites were winning. When he became tired and put his arms down, and the battle turned, and the Amalekites started to gain control. And then we know the story how it ended. In the end of the day, Hur and Aaron, who were with him, made him sit down, and they held up his arms until the battle was won. So this morning, I want to share with you some lessons that we can learn as we journey together. As a community of believers, that we are always better together when we journey together. The lesson number one is this. Remember that trials often comes after the heels of a victory. Trials often comes on the heels of a victory. See, the Israelites had just been blessed by the miracle of water from the rock.
Richard Nixon always said
and they had been blessed with food. Isn't it just like the enemy to come at us right after God blesses us? But you notice, Israel was still in Rephidim. The word Rephidim means a place of comfort and a place of rest. They were still in Rephidim. The place where God had just given them water. And then verse 9 says, then came Amalek. After God blessed them, now came the trouble. Then came Amalek. And I want you to notice the connection here. If you go back a couple of verses, verse 7, it says the Israelites quarreled. Because they tested the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? They were quarreling among themselves. Hey, God, are you for us? Or are you for the enemies? This is right after God blessed them and provided them with water and food. Then came Amalek. We can translate that, then came troubles. Or then came trials. You see, trials often comes on the heels of victory. Lesson number 2.